Marvel Rivals has 3 roles: tanks, damage, and support. Sound familiar? Except they're actually called Vanguards, Duelists, and Strategists. My name is KarQ, and I've been around Overwatch for a while now, with tips, tricks, guides, and all that fun stuff. And I'm here now with a new Marvel Rivals channel full of news, patch notes, tips, tricks, same stuff. So buckle up, subscribe now, and let's start video number 1 with 3 beginner-friendly heroes to play and a quick guide on what they do. Alright, don't trust the game's star difficulty rating. I don't personally agree with all of these because I think easy heroes should be mechanically simple enough to generate good floor value for your team, even if you have absolutely no idea what you're doing. So for the tanks, I mean, Vanguards, fuck it, let's just call them Vanks. Let's start with Magneto. Magneto has a ton of traditional tanking tools at his disposal. Simply press this button, get a big rectangular shield, and you can walk with it. Press this button, get a bubble shield for yourself. Press this button and you get a bubble shield for a teammate. I mean, this is kind of like Zarya in a nutshell. And if people shoot your Iron Bulwark shield, you gain extra rings, as you can see on Magneto's back. Look familiar? Then you can press the right click and launch however many rings he's built up. His ultimate is pretty straightforward as well. You fly up in the air, charge up a meteor, and launch it into enemies. Now, one of the biggest reasons I actually recommend Magneto first is because of his team up benefits with Scarlet Witch for a damn sword to enhance Magneto's DPS at close range. Also, Scarlet Witch is an easy recommended duelist, which I'll get to later, and since this is a beginner video, let me quickly explain what team up means. This is a system in Marvel Rivals where certain hero compositions on your team activate a synergy perk. So here Magneto will get a sword, and Scarlet Witch gets a 10% bonus damage buff. That's it. Pretty nice. Alright, Vanguard number 2 is Groot. I am Groot. I am also Wall. I am Wall. I am Wall again. I can put Wall down. I mean, Groot is an incredibly easy hero to play for your team because that's all you gotta do, as he has 2 charges of that small wall and 1 longer cooldown for the big wall. Plus, these walls are spiky and deal damage to enemies who stand too close to it. Obviously, you want to fire your primary fire vines whenever you can. Use your Spore Bomb, which is a small AoE damage sphere. You can melee with the Furious Flora button, where every 3 hits knocks people up. And then you just chuck your ultimate when you have it, where you get to pull enemies in and root them down for 3.5 seconds. Groot's team up ability is with Rocket Raccoon and Jeff the Shark. It gives whoever hops on your shoulder a damage reduction buff, and these 2 heroes happen to be the recommended heroes for strategists later in the video. The third recommended tank is Doctor Strange. He's relatively simple, but you do have to manage his passive called the Price of Magic. If you read the description here, every time you use your primary fire, your daggers, you build up this dark magic charge, and if you cap it out at 100 charge, you have about 3 seconds to release that magic with your Maelstrom of Madness, which is your E ability, for a close range burst. If you don't spend that dark magic in time, you get cursed with an anti-heal effect for 2 seconds, and you obviously don't want that. The rest of Strange's kit is pretty simple. You press your shift here to gain free flight for 6 seconds. Press this right click button for a big 800 HP barrier. And then this button here acts like an ultimate because it's got like an ultimate level cooldown timer of 180 seconds. But all it is a portal where you set 1 point and a second point, and then you can look between the portals and shoot between the portals and jump through them. It's really good to, you know, traverse the map or absolutely troll people because you set one end off the map and the other end in front of the enemy spawn doors. And if they're not paying attention, well, people will pick it up over time, but enjoy the first early days of madness. Strange's ultimate is called Eye of Agamotto, which is an AoE 3-second stun. Deal damage to the physical body or the soul that gets split for those 3 seconds, and they'll probably die. Pretty easy hero. For duelists, Scarlet Witch is an easy choice, as the gameplay loop is just simply suck enemies off with the primary fire, which is called Chaos Control, and then run away if you're in danger with her phase ability called Mystic Projection, which also grants her flight and invulnerability. She can also use a ranged projectile spell that consumes chaos energy, indicated by the 4 little icons in the center. They passively charge over time, but you can actually ramp it up quicker by using that primary fire sucking attack and then spend that chaos energy more frequently and then dance between both her firing modes depending on the situation. If you're a big fan of Moira, Scarlet Witch's kit should be right up your alley. Scarlet Witch's Dark Seal is an AoE ability that stuns anyone unlucky enough to fall into its radius, and her ultimate is as simple as it gets. She charges up and releases pure chaos and a big explosion that deals a lot of damage. Sound familiar, Diva mains? Take note on the fact that she has a charge up time for this ability, though the only thing getting blown up will be your face if you get shot out of the sky with the bad timed ultimate. Her team-up synergy with Magneto, like I mentioned earlier in the video, gives him the sword, and for Scarlet Witch herself, just a flat 10% damage boost. There's literally nothing you have to think about, and the less you have to think, the better. Feels like any hero shooter these days isn't complete without the vanilla run-and-gun playstyle. The Punisher is the perfect beginner class for those who don't want to try more technical characters from the get-go. His weapon simply fires his rifle where you point it, and his right-click changes his shots into a shotgun blast. Short and sweet, which is what perfectly describes his character. Who needs movement text or fancy web slinging when you can just shoot a grappling hook to change positions quickly? Need some space from all the chaos? Chuck a smoke grenade and blind the enemy team. This also makes you do a backdash so you can keep pouring in the pain from a distance. Need to find cover? Just make your own. His culling turret ability deploys a turret, which you can shoot out of, does a lot of damage, and it has the added bonus of actually blocking damage coming in from the front. Just be careful because you are a sitting duck, so you have to use it a little sparingly. If you still feel his massive arsenal is lacking, just pop his ultimate to activate Final Judgment, which turns you into a walking hailstorm of bullets. Like, this is Mauga. Now, Punisher's team up with Rocket Raccoon is just raw, pure power, as it gives him infinite ammo and a faster fire rate whenever Rocket places down the special ammo overload device. Rocket is also one of the recommended beginner strategists, which I'll get into later. Is this a fluffy little furball or an apex predator? Squirrel Girl's kit combines a simple format and happy little accidents into a neat little package of destruction. Her primary fire shoots single shot bullets that deal a decent amount of damage to hit targets. If you have bad aim, well, it just comes down to simple geometry. Her ammunition has that added effect of ricocheting off surfaces. So is it really bad aim or just as planned? If you still can't hit anybody, no worries, you probably just suck. But hey, her right-click windmill slams a giant acorn right at the enemy, Looney Tunes style. If it does hit, it'll root them in place and it gives you time you need for the lineup. She also has a nice leap ability to get easier shots in or to reposition. Her E ability allows her to reuse one of her skills instantly for free, so if you need a second chance to land that acorn or another leap or jump to secure the takedown, here's your second shot. So make it count, gamers. Her ultimate shoots a wave of squirrels in a straight line and deals damage to anyone foolish enough to get caught up in it. To add to the hilarity of this ultimate, the squirrels themselves can ricochet off walls just like your primary fire. It can be a great fire and forget it ability with a huge payoff. I've always thought that squirrels should be higher up in the food chain, so consider this my Exhibit A. For strategists, Luna Snow is easy enough to grasp. A lot of her kit is passive where she just skates and moves faster and jumps higher, and she naturally heals herself every time she casts her abilities. No need to think about anything here. Now her active kit is mostly built into her primary fire, which either damages enemies or heals allies. Really depends on who you target to give you that flexibility during team fights. Now her Ice Arts ability amplifies that primary fire so it now pierces, so you can pierce heal a teammate or pierce the enemies if they line up for you. Her right click throws a clump of ice that damages and freezes the target if hit. It also has the added bonus of healing yourself as well, like I mentioned from the passive. Share the Stage is an ability that attaches a healing idol to an ally and allows them to reap the benefits of the healing you give to other people. So it's great for teammates that have a playstyle that doesn't put them in your line of sight often. And finally, her ultimate ability allows you to take what you enjoyed about Lucio to another level. She gains an AoE aura ability on use that you can switch between healing boost or damage boost. Rocket Raccoon's amazing mobility along with his simple healing game plan is another great choice for those starting out. He comes with 2 dashes and can wall climb so you can make sure he's out of harm's way. His secondary fire shoots these heal orbs that just bounce around the arena and they heal allies in a small range around them. This is really easy to just spam it, forget about it, and it doesn't really require much precision, and it's also pretty easy to weave it in between your damaging shots with your primary fire. His Battle Rebirth beacon allows him to throw a beacon down that can revive an ally that dies within its radius, and it periodically throws out armor packs and rocket boots for anyone to pick up and use. Rocket's ultimate throws down a device that grants allies a damage boost. It's another easy set it and forget it ultimate. Just make sure you put it in a spot where the line of sight is good for your teammates, but slightly out of reach of enemies from destroying it easily. Rocket also has another great team-up ability with Groot that allows him to jump onto that tanky tree, and he gets a 35% damage reduction buff for extra survivability. But I find the real strength of this team-up is that it's actually like a free 12-meter movement dash ability, which helps you dodge enemies if you need to. He also has that other team-up I mentioned earlier with Punisher, with infinite ammo, which is really nice as well. Jeff is one of the most adorable little guys you'll see. You want to pick him for his ease of use or simply because he's a cute shark. I mean, come on. His primary fire is a jet stream of water that heals allies from a pretty safe distance. You can also place down little healing bubbles. He has a limited amount of charges, but it does give allies some health and a movement speed boost. It's kind of like Bard's W if you play League. It also has the added bonus of knocking back enemies that touch it. His Aqua Burst ability gives him a way to clap back at all the shark haters with a long-range projectile that has explosive properties. If you're getting shot at, he's got a pretty safe escape ability with Hide and Seek, which submerges him underground and allows him to heal himself, and you can also climb walls throughout its duration. Now, Jeff's ultimate is an amazing ability because it can save your allies and it can stop an enemy offensive ability when timed properly. So when you activate it, you submerge into the ground, and then you can pop back up to swallow both the enemy and allies alike. Allies, if they get swallowed, heal while they're inside your ultimate, but enemies will take damage. After a certain amount of time, they're automatically spat back out. And, you know, wouldn't it kind of suck if they happen to be on the edge of the map? The last bit of information on Jeff is that his team up is exactly the same as Rocket's, where you can jump across to Groot and get that 35% damage reduction. Only thing is, both Rocket and Jeff can't jump at the same time. Only one person can ride his shoulder. Now that is my starter kit list for easy heroes to start your Marvel Rivals journey. Let me know if you have a different opinion. Enjoy the game, and please subscribe. This is a brand new channel. I'm trying to grow this one. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.